Welcome to this webinar. So, as you're coming in, introduce yourself, your name, and where you're joining from. We are so excited to have you here, and we can't wait to unpack everything we have in stock for you today. So, let's get to meet you. Introduce yourself in the chat room. While we do that, I would like to recommend that this is a free webinar and you're going to get a lot of value from this session. For you to maximize the value, life transforming value you're going to get from this session, I would like to recommend that you put away any form of distraction, be it your phone, you can put it on silent, or any other thing that could shift your attention from the value you're getting here today. Put your phone on silent, do not disturb if you have to. The next 1.5 hours would be a major turning point in your entrepreneurial desire, your entrepreneurial vision. So, also, I want to recommend that you get a notepad, either digital or physical notepad, writing materials, so that you can take notes as we go. For every attendee, a copy of this presentation will be sent to your email anyways. But it's good to take notes because you can always revisit your notes in your own words. So now that we've taken that out of the way, let's get started. Now, the title of this presentation is The Formula to Create My Successful Business, in quotation. That means your successful business, a business that is for you, a business that takes your uniqueness into consideration. It is not just because your neighbor does a business, you jump on it, right? Your neighbor is a unique being with unique experiences, unique strengths, unique interests, unique expertise. Now, when you put your uniqueness into consideration before deciding on what business to start, it increases your chances of success. And we're going to get to that in a bit, how this applies to the potential of your success when you put your uniqueness into consideration. Before we move on, let's identify some of the challenges of aspiring entrepreneurs. For you to have joined this webinar today, or for you to be watching this webinar right now, you probably clicked on a post that popped up on your timeline, and identifying or acknowledging your desire to be an entrepreneur. You probably have been sitting on this desire for a while, but definitely something has kept you bound. So whether it's either you lack clarity, you don't know where to start, what to do to get started, what kind of business to do, or maybe you have an idea on what kind of business to do, but you don't even know, how to pieces every component of a business together to start a good business. Or maybe you're even overwhelmed. Maybe you have too many ideas and it's causing overwhelm, right? Or maybe you don't even know how to source for funding. You have financial uncertainty. You're so scared to commit the resources you have into starting a business venture because you are not certain of your capability or your capacity in running a successful business. You do not have clarity, which is still traceable back to clarity. It could also be self-doubt. There are times that we even have the expertise. We are all humans. Most humans, a lot of humans have imposter syndrome. So you're doubting yourself. You're thinking, can I pull it off? Am I just better off as an employee? Should I just keep being an employee? Even though you have that constant nudge to take a bold move, but you're still scared to take this bold move. And it could be due to a lot of things. Maybe you don't have the affirming voice around you that tells you you can do it, that increases your faith in your capacity, or your vision, your dream, right? And it could also be that you are the type you want, you're type of person that you like to have a very high certainty score on anything you do. You want to be in control. You don't want to go to or an uncertain terrain. Whatever the reason is, I strongly believe that By the end of this session, you would, whatever is holding you bound falls into any of this category, whether you lack clarity, whether or you're overwhelmed, or you are uncertain, or about where to source for financial resources, or how much financial commitment to make to your vision, or you have self-doubt, or you just want to have some level of certainty on the prospect of your business idea. Whatever category you fall into, at the end of the session, you have some kind of answer to whatever impediment you've been experiencing. So let's move on. What will you get from this webinar? In this webinar, you gain insights to unlock your potential and build a business that suits your uniqueness and sustains your passion. So, like I said, putting the unique you into consideration ensures that your passion is sustained. Business is not always a walk in the park. So when the going gets tough, because you are involved with a business that is unique for you, that puts your strength, your experiences, your passion, your interests, your skill sets into consideration, you are able to, it's able to sustain your passion. You don't easily wear out, right? So, which increases your chances of success. On this webinar, you're going to be learning how to identify the business for you, using what already exists. A lot of people are always looking outside, like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. They only focus on what they don't have that serves as an impediment to them getting started on their entrepreneurial vision. But at the end of this module, you would have identified so much of resources that you have already that you can leverage to get started on your entrepreneurial vision. You have clarity on that. So then you would have learned some critical contributing factor to the success of all the ideas you're going to be putting together on this session using the knowledge you gain on this webinar. Then, of course, we're going to walk you through a practical worksheet that you can use to analyze, collate, brainstorm, and analyze some business ideas using the framework you must have learned as a tool on this webinar. Then, validation, of course, we're going to introduce you to a framework that you can use after identifying potential business ideas for you. Then of course you might come up with you might come up with a few. There's a need to validate them for the potential of their success, right? And at the end of it, for people that wait till the end of this webinar, I have a gift for the people that wait. The gift is only on this webinar, and it's only for people that wait, because I do not want you to miss out on any part of the juice. So before I get started fully, leave in the chat row or tell me, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how pumped are you to dive into this? What's the energy level? Leave it in the chat row for me, please. Keep leaving your energy level in the chat row. I'm excited to see. Okay, let's get started. We're pumped. I see people saying 5, 6, 7. Let's see. By the end of this webinar, you're going to be at 10. You're going to be pumped, super pumped. Let's get started. Before we get started, you need to know who you're talking to or who's talking to you right now. What qualifies me to talk to you? What gives me the audacity to advise on business strategies? Let's get to meet me. I'm popularly called Coach Yvonne. My legal name is Tolulope Olumilua Ibitoye. I'm a Canadian Nigerian. I'm originally from Nigeria. I'm a business leader. I'm a multi-certified business leadership and management professional. So I'm certified by various but international certifying bodies as a business management consultant. Then I have over 10 years of experience working with startups for optimized formation. Optimized formation simply means getting started right, getting started with a solid foundation to accelerate growth and sustainability, scalability, growth, and sustainability. Of course, I'm also an entrepreneur. I have a tech innovation firm with some of our products already on Play Store and App Store. Then I was recognized by New York Weeklies as a top business coach. I'm a wife and a mom of 2. So now that you know me, let's dive into the juice. So let's talk about why should you build a business around you, around your uniqueness? What makes you uniquely you? No 2 humans are exactly the same. So what I can count as a strength could be a weakness to someone else. My personal experiences are unique to me. What interests me might be someone else's pet peeve. All these components, all these factors come together to make you you. And no matter how viable a business is, you are a critical factor in the success of that business. Your personality, your interests, your experiences, because of course your experiences shape your perception. Your experiences shapes how you reason, right? How you view every situation. So that's why you are a critical component in any business. You are the unique factor. 2 people could be given the same formula, the same capital, same everything, the same market, the same opportunity. However, the unique factor is the individuals starting and running that business. And that could make a whole lot of difference in the results. So the first reason we are identified as why your business should be built around your uniqueness is because it aligns your personal strengths, interests, and experiences with your business, which is crucial for long-term success and fulfillment. I don't know if you've ever heard the saying. Let me know in the comment section, in the chat row, if you ever heard a saying, do what you love and you never work a day in your life. Now, there are times that it's not only love that drives you to a business venture or to creating an opportunity or to solving a problem. Sometimes it's beyond love. Sometimes it's also passion. Love is to put it mildly. Sometimes it's passion. For example, someone that has fallen victim of, let's say, fraudsters in the past might decide to build a business model around preventing similar occurrences, maybe through digitization or some kind of idea around that experience. So while we wouldn't say such a person loves, being defrauded, but of course, a passion was sparked from that experience that person went through. So, and that experience was unique to him or her, right? Exactly what I would say around you. And because of the horrible feeling that person felt from that experience, they don't want someone else to go through. And that's why that sparked a passion to create a business opportunity around that experience. I just use that as an example. So if you are with me, please leave a comment in the chat row. Say I'm with you. I want to be sure that I'm not going too fast. I'm not going too slow. I'm maintaining a good momentum and a good tempo. So if you are with me, if you like the tempo, if you like the momentum, please leave your comments in the chat room. Now, we said the second reason is when your business resonates with you, you are more motivated, resilient, and creative. When something occurs to you, when something is within your experiences, your strengths, your knowledge, your all the cardinal points we're going to be using to identify where to look. When business is within those terrains, you're able to be more creative around that business. In your solutioning, in your value offering, you're able to be more creative. It allows you to leverage your unique abilities. Of course, like I said earlier, you are the unique factor. When you put the you spin on the same business that someone else is doing, because it's just you, because the business also sits within what makes you you. It aligns with the strength of what makes you you. That might be your competitive advantage in the market you operate in, right? So it allows you to leverage your unique abilities and insights, making decision making more intuitive and impactful. Then passion drives perseverance, helping you navigate challenges with greater ease. Then the last one, this alignment leads to a more authentic and sustainable business, ensuring you remain engaged and passionate about your entrepreneurial journey. So, having said that, let's move to the next discussion. Okay, so we said there are 4 cardinal directions you should look. We are using the framework of 4 cardinal directions. This gives you some kind of framework to work with when you're trying to, identify the opportunities available to you. A lot of people always look at, oh, I don't know where to start from. I don't know what to do. There are so many businesses, and some people even look at just a typical business that someone next door is doing, and should I do it as well? I'm so confused. Will I succeed at it? The starting point to know if you have a potential for success is using this 4 framework to identify the opportunity. You want to spot an opportunity, and you can use these directions looking towards any of this direction, or a combination, a 360-degree vision, using a combination of these 4 directions to come up with a unique business idea. And we're going to get there in a bit. So we have 4 cardinal directions. The first one is inward. Someone should live inward, write inward in the comments row, in the chat row, write inward. And I'm going to expatiate on what it means to look inward when you're searching for a viable business opportunity for you. When you're searching for that, what does it mean to look inward? I'm going to expatiate on it shortly. But in the meantime, leave inward in the chat row. Type inward in the chat row. Inward. So what does it mean? Inward, you are you from the inside out. You are, first of all, you from how you think, from what you like, from what you know, for all this, from what you find, what you are naturally drawn to, what you can do well. All these things make you uniquely you. Someone might have your strength, but not have your passion. Someone might have your expertise, but not have your interest. So you want to use this element to identify what are some of the things that I do best. Some people, it's easy to overlook some things that come to you naturally. I know some people that, they enjoy the process of arranging stuff, putting things together. Some people, I enjoy cleaning, and some of us detest cleaning, right? Some people enjoy explaining. They could grab a complex concept, and simplify it with just, putting together. They know how to put their words together so, refinedly that whoever is listening to them would easily understand that. No, for someone that all these things come to naturally, it's easy to overlook these strengths. But of course, you must have heard feedback or comments of people acknowledging or giving you feedback on these things. Don't overlook it. That's a strength, right? Then passion. What is that thing you could be on for hours and not get tired? But the moment you switch from it, you do something else for a few minutes, you're already tired. That right there is calling you. That thing that draws your passion, that you could expend so much energy and you never run out of energy. That thing that excites you, that when you're talking about it, there's a beam, your face beams for excitement. Now, expertise. What is that thing you're great at? You could research on for hours, that you could, it comes to you, you've mastered your craft at it. It could even be a service you offer to your employer today. You're already offering the same skill set as an employee. You're great at it. You've mastered it. It could even be an acquired skill. It could be how to use Excel. It could be how to do something. You weren't necessarily born with it, but you've gotten to a stage of certain expertise that you can transfer the knowledge one way or the other, or you can build solutions around it one way or the other. So these are inward direction indicators for business opportunities. Okay, so around, the next direction to look around. Now, there are times that a lot of solutions have been born out of just hearing people complain about certain situations around you, or just seeing a glaringly obvious, gap in the society. And you step in to say, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is your strength, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you know the A to Z of this subject matter, but understanding that yes, there is a gap here, a glaring gap, a gap that is calling to be filled, right? You could step in. Of course, it has been validated. You've gathered information about it. It may be in a certain market, and there's a big need. You can decide to step in and fill the void, right? So someone type in the chat room around, looking around, right around in the chat room. I want this to stick to your mind. Identify gaps or opportunities that aren't being fully exploited in your surroundings. Then the next one is looking forward. Looking forward. So an example would be OpenAI. Yes, there has always been artificial intelligence, but in the past, let's say 1 to 2 years, it has gone like a wildfire. The AI revolution, right? It has really, like, the speed of the revolution has been intense, right? OpenAI is one of the famous ones. That's the first of GPT, right? If you can you let me know in the comment section if you are familiar with what ChatGPT is, right? So someone was not just settling for what already is, right? As much as life was without OpenAI, someone that is not forward thinking would not easily see OpenAI as a solution. But guess what? Someone thought outside the box, and you know what? Humans' lives could be easier. Things could be simplified by this invention, by this innovation. Work could be faster, things could be optimized, and someone got creative. They looked ahead. Technology and innovation keeps evolving, keeps discovering. So you could look ahead in the market around any topic. It could even be around an interest you have. It could be around a gap in the market. So that's why I said you could have a combination of every direction. It could be an interest, it could be a strength. You could use your strength to solve a problem around you that you've identified, and you could be innovative about it. While other people that have solved it in the past might have solved it a certain way, you could get innovative, forward thinking through technology and innovation. Okay? Then another direction is backward. Now, apart from your strength, your innate tendencies, your interests, expertise that we mentioned in inward direction, and apart from the obvious or glaring gaps in the local market or even in the international space that you might have noticed, apart from, of course, thinking outside the box. Forward thinking is, thinking outside the box, thinking outside of what has been attained in the past, someone else has done, thinking beyond what has been established to be doable. Just thinking, betting on the possibility, having the possibility mindset. That is what forward thinking is about. Apart from this, you can also look backward, which means you might have experienced, maybe you went through an experience from the past. Maybe, for example, best parenting coaches are people that were raised by unintentional parents because they've experienced the pain of being raised unintentionally. It became passion for them, and from there they turned their past experience into a business opportunity. It could be a bad experience you went through from your past. It could be your personal experiences, and you now built or modeled a business opportunity around it to say no one else is going to go through this. It could also be something you've observed someone, you've observed a process. Maybe someone around you, you've observed their process of meticulously executing to achieve a certain result. So you've observed the process, right? So you can also, so backward looking does not necessarily mean bad experiences. It could be your personal experience. It could, for example, you going on a flight and realizing that the food is always cold, or maybe the food could be preserved better, and maybe you didn't like the taste of the food, for example, or there's something you experienced during that flight process, and you decided that I didn't like how I felt about that. As a matter of fact, best products are usually from best products that engage people's passion are usually from their past experiences, either as something they experienced. Maybe you went to a resort, you experienced the beauty of the resort, and you wanted to replicate it in your local market, right? Exact same thing. Or you went through an experience that was unpleasant and you wanted to sensitize people about it and inform people, make people aware about it so that they don't fall victim of the same. Like I mentioned the example of the fraud earlier, right? So backward direction is just simply looking towards your past experiences to say, I want to replicate or I want to prevent. Okay, so I haven't said that. I've on a high level, I've walked us through. So let's just quickly go a bit deeper on these directions. So, like I said earlier, personal strength. When you're looking inward, you're looking at personal strength. Reflect on past achievements and moments where you excelled. Think about tasks that come naturally to you and seek feedback from friends or colleagues about what they see as your key strengths. We already mentioned everything here. So then interests. So what are some of the things I want us to drop in the rows? Looking in what are some things as we are talking now? What are some light bulb moments that you're having? Like what are some things that you do so well that come to you naturally that you've been undermining? That you are always looking, what can I do? Because you are seeing your friends or your neighbors or people do all kind of things, and you are thinking, looking in that direction rather than looking on the inside for your strength, what you do like so well, what you do excellently, what comes to you naturally, what sustains your interests, what catches and sustains your interest, the skill sets you've mastered, how to do this, how to do that, there are a lot of training modules on how to. Like I have mastered the act of being a business leader, being a business consultant, and that's what I'm passing on to you today. I have built an entire business. There are other skill sets I have also monetized. Now, I like to teach, I have monetized that. I like innovation, I have mobile apps. Even my personal experiences, I'm a mom, I have a mom app. Like, so you could always monetize around your strength, your interests, your skill set. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the next one is the next direction, of course, that we said earlier, looking around. Walk around your neighborhood, talk to residents, attend local meetings, notice recurring issues or complaints. You would see, in fact, without going into so much research mode, you can actually validate by the amount of people identifying or talking about this need. Usually looking around will be obvious, or sometimes it's not obvious as well. It might mean you having eyes for opportunities. Some people are complainers. You are an action taker. When people say it's how full you're how empty, you're saying, you know what, I can put a spin on this and make the cup half full. What a lot of people will complain about, you are thinking of how to create an entire opportunity around it. The next one is another way you could actually look around is local media. So beyond your local market, beyond your neighborhood, you could read in the newspaper, there could be something that has been constantly talked about in the news, right? That, you know what, as a problem, or even it might not even be identified conspicuously or obviously as a problem, but you're able to deduce that this is a problem that needs to be addressed. That is a way to look around as well. Then service gap, right? Identify missing services in your area. Surveys and feedback, right? Conduct surveys and feedback, then collaborate with local organizations. They can provide insights because this local organization could have gathered data, so they can provide insight into areas where there are challenges in whether your local market, your immediate market, or the bigger market. So here we mentioned an example, right? We said a great example is Warby Parker, the eyewear company. Before starting the business, the founders noticed a gap in the eyewear market, high prices, and a lack of transparency. So when you're looking around, a problem could be that business model already exists, but there's something that people that are in the market are not doing as well. That you identify that, what, I could do better. A gap in the market. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is no solution addressing that problem already. It could be that there's no solution. It could also be that there is a solution addressing it, but there are still, there is not addressing it as well as you would like it addressed, or as you're hearing from people, from the consumers, as much as they would like it addressed, right? So you're going to be sent this presentation so you can review the document. I don't want to take too much of your time because we're going to have a practical exercise on how to use the worksheet we have provided to examine your business ideas, to come up with business ideas, at least 2 in each direction, and now do some analysis for them. Okay, so here we talk about, under looking inward, we talk about Spanx, right? Then looking backward. So we said past failures, we talked about that earlier, past failures, past successes, learn from others, past successes and failures, feedback and adaptation. So solving problems we've personally encountered or enhancing good experiences can be a good starting point for founding a business that thrives. Okay? Then we said, looking forward, I already mentioned OpenAI as a good example, even Facebook. When Facebook was created, it wasn't like, there were social media platforms then, but there weren't that, there weren't so many of them. So the uniqueness of the Facebook model was around, what if there could be a way that people could connect with their long lost schoolmates, long lost family members, long lost friends, and what if there could be a central platform, right? So thinking outside the box, thinking beyond the present. Most often than not, forward-looking solutions are disruptors. What it means is that it doesn't mean that the present state is not good, but it looks forward-looking solutions, look to do what has not been done before, and look to make the present state better. Okay, that's how you would know a forward-looking solution or opportunity. Of course, it requires a lot of research and development. The founders of forward-looking solutions bet on their own ability to be innovative, right? It requires a lot of creativity and innovation. So you have to, of course, you can also predict a certain direction where an industry is going, and the next phase for evolution, right? Identify upcoming trends in technology, society, and industry. You can anticipate changes and stay ahead of the curve. Then think beyond current norms. Like, you have to think outside of the box, like I said earlier. Ask yourself, what if? Like, don't just be comfortable with what has already been established as possible, as doable. Probe to say, what happens if this is done? Can I do this? Can I, think outside of what you already know? You have to be innovative. You have to embrace new technologies and methodologies, adapt and integrate this into your business model to create unique offerings. And like I said earlier, you can combine, it doesn't mean you're the next big tech giant. Don't get me wrong. You can be forward-looking even in an existing space, right? For example, in the restaurant business, you could say every restaurant in my neighborhood, they use, this is the approach to it. I want to come up with a totally different approach. It's still a restaurant business. So you could put elements of these directions in coming up with a unique solution. When you look inward, what do I like doing? I like to cook. Okay, That's a strength. I cook very good meals and I enjoy it. You could be a good cook but not enjoy the process. So whether you want to choose interest or you want to choose strength, right? So, or maybe you have gone to school to become a chef and you learned the process, well, that is expertise, right? So I'm a chef, right? That's inward looking. I've identified that strength. While some people might not want to harness it, they might think it comes to them naturally, it's not a big deal. But you have said, because I do the thing well, people would like to pay for what I offer. I'm just using that as an example. I'm a good teacher. I should record coaching videos. I like to design. I could design, words. Just think about, I like to research. I could, build a business around people, a repository where people can find information, gather it. Whatever you like to do, that comes to you naturally. Strength, expertise, and you establish that. Then you look around and looking around, you say, okay, maybe not in my immediate market, but in this market, maybe there is a gap where my strength can come in. Then when you now look forward, you think, how do I present or package my strength in this market such that it is unique? It is not the regular, like it puts a new spin, an exciting spin on it beyond what someone else has done or someone is thinking about. It doesn't necessarily be one big tech innovation. It could be just your creativity and thinking outside the box. Then the last one is looking backward. I think we skipped it. Looking backward. So, okay, we've gone through it already. So looking backward, you can say, okay, what do I want to niche down to a particular kind of meal? Well, was it because of a certain kind of a bad experience I had? People in that market do not know how to cook that meal properly, and I've learned how to cook it. And I feel like a lot of people are struggling with the bad how the restaurants in that neighborhood cook that meal, and I want to cook the meal. Or maybe in the delivery approach, maybe the speed is slow. I want to increase the speed by, people have long wait times. I want to increase the long wait time by being innovative. So, right? So everything can come together. You can combine everything together to come up with a business solution, a business model that stands out, that works for you, that takes your strength into consideration, that takes your uniqueness into consideration, and helps you stand out on all sides. Now, I'm going to show you quickly a walkthrough of this worksheet. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Leave in the comments section if you can see my screen. Okay, so now we're going to use this framework I expect that you would identify using the 4 cardinal directions. You're going to identify different business ideas, right? And we're going to use this probing question or these guidelines to assess them. So looking inward, what is your personal strength? What is your personal strength? What is your personal strength or passion that you could turn into? Don't undermine anything. Think of the things that come to it. Could even be, ability to convince people. So that's a power of convincing people. You could build a coaching module out of it. Do not undermine. Think about that thing that you've been getting a lot of feedback on. I need you to note 2 of them and put here. Then looking backward, what terrible experience? You could make it one terrible experience and one good experience. What terrible experience stands out to you as you're thinking right now that you wish you didn't encounter, that really got to you, and you wish if maybe if they did it better, and the solution occurred to you too. Maybe if they did it better, maybe if they did this, maybe if they did that, maybe the experience could have been better. Or what good thing have you seen yourself, maybe at your present working place, where you work? Have you seen someone, done or someone else done that you've observed how meticulously or systemically they did that thing, they executed that thing that led to success, that you observed, that you experienced the entire process and the output that you would like to replicate, right? Think of 2. It could be 1 bad experience, 1 good experience. Then look around you. What are some of the things that you might want? Remember, there are a lot of, I know you intend to go into business for profitability, but a lot of NGOs are born out of, things that are happening around. Like people say, okay, they observe that this is a major vice in the society, or this is a gap in the society, and someone builds a business around it. It could be in your immediate society or even the world at large, right? Then look forward. What are some, like, you don't have to be the next tech giant in case you're like, what is she talking about? No, think about just one thing you must understand is that whatever your mind can imagine is possible. So think about something. Someone is probably already doing it somewhere that you're not familiar with. So think about something. Brent, I need two ideas. I need you to, so on the next page, you'll be able to fill. So this attachment will be sent to your email for being on this call. So you'll be able to fill it. So I need you to pen down two ideas under each. Then strength, passion, alignment. How does this idea align with your personal strength, interest, or experience? Then that's under looking inward. See, how does this, under looking backward, how does this idea help solve a problem you've experienced in the past? So write it out. Don't just stop it at an idea, penning down the idea at the bullet point level. Write what this probing question is for you. It allows you to think. It opens the channels in your mind to think, to be analytical, to analyze. So answer these questions in the box below. So when you're looking backward, I need you to, for each of the idea, I need you to answer, how does this idea help solve a problem? So you have to be able to identify the problem, what you thought, what you feel what problem was when you experienced that bad experience. Then what do you think the solution? Because of course, when you want to create a business opportunity, you have to know what the solution is, right? So, or the good thing you experience, how can you replicate success, right? Then does this idea solve a problem you've observed in your community looking around? So what under strength, passion, alignment for looking around? So after you have identified the challenges you see or that you hear a lot of people talking about, whatever you're writing here, whatever you're brainstorming under here should be able to be traceable to a solution to the problems you've identified on that business idea. Okay. Then does this idea, then under looking forward, does this idea align with upcoming innovations or future trends? Then under market opportunity, you come under market opportunity, you answer the same question. So just answer the questions, and by the time you're done answering the question, in total, you should have 8 ideas at the minimum, 2 ideas under each category. And answering this question, you'll be surprised at how much information you have, how much you would have guided your thoughts, your thinking, your discovery, right, through these probing questions. So let's go back to the presentation. So now that we've gone through, I've walked you through how to fill that worksheet, which should be in your attachment any moment from now, in your email any moment from now as an attachment. Let's talk about some other critical factors to consider. There are critical factors to consider. Write in the comment. I need you to drop for me in the chat row critical factors. Write critical factors, because these are factors to consider. Even when you have identified your ideas, you still need to consider some things, right? Because these things could put a spin on how hard you need to work or your journey to profitability. That is just honest. It doesn't mean you won't succeed, even when the odds are against your business idea when it comes to these factors. However, it might increase your work effort. It might increase, how hard you need to work. So it's good to know. I want to share this with you so that you can know, right? So in determining the profitability of any business idea, the following factors are crucial. Let's break them down. The market size. So the people that have that problem, the problem you are trying to solve, that your idea, your strength, you have to have an idea of how big the problem is. That means the size of the people that will be willing, the volume, the size of people that will be willing to exchange money for that solution. Is it a seasonal problem, right? That only comes maybe around Christmas, around Easter? Is it only creating value around a certain season? Or is it a small group of people that would actually find this solution valuable that will be willing to pay for it, then what happens to your scalability, right? Then another thing to consider is demand versus supply. So if already there, of course, again, I said earlier that the fact that there is a lot of people, someone is already doing where you find your strength, or is already doing what you're thinking of doing, doesn't eliminate your chances, or it doesn't reduce your chance of success to zero. What it does is you might want to really focus on looking forward in that same space. What it means that you want to get innovative, you want to get creative. You don't want to replicate exactly what someone is doing. You want to put your you factor on it, right? You want to pay attention to details. You want to identify another layer of problem. For example, like I said earlier, a restaurant business, you want to say, okay, in this neighborhood, what additional value, what can I think outside the box? What additional value can I create that will make me, apart from the taste of the food, is it the speed of delivery? Is it the neatness of the presentation? Is it, so you want to think, is it the technology enabled purchase process, right? Are they able to order online? Are they able to reserve a seat online? So you just want to get creative, right? However, knowing, having an idea of the demand versus supply, which means that, do we have more people that are offering the same service or offering the same commodity or the same goods? Do you have more people that are offering it to the same set of people? So people that are targeting the same people you will be targeting. Now, do we have too many people that are supplying the same value versus the people that are willing to buy the same value? So when the demand is low compared to supply, this is a critical economic principle. So when the supply is higher, when the people that are selling this thing, this value, when there are more than the people that are willing or able, because there is willingness, there is ability, that are willing or able to buy to buy that product, then we'll say it's a saturated product. That means everybody sells that product, right? So you want to consider the saturation score of what is your interest. Because, for example, if you are, I would even say that there's a lot of business coaches, but again, I'm not threatened by that. There are a lot of business coaches, especially in the digital space. I'm not threatened by that because, of course, in my expertise, I combine my expertise of being a business coach and a recognized one, a certified one, plus my love for teaching, my passion for teaching, for impacting, for transferring knowledge, and a lot of other things. So I looked inward and also delivering through technology. There are a lot of people that do the same thing, but of course, I'm still able to compete. I know that I'm able to compete in this market, regardless of how saturated it is, because of my unique factor. And again, it's a global audience, right? But in some small markets, for example, maybe it's something you can only sell to your immediate environment, maybe the city you live in, maybe you have a physical location for laundry, maybe a laundromat, right? The truth is, you have to identify how many laundromats do we have in this neighborhood. How many people are probably taking their clothes to the laundromat, right? So knowing this gives you clarity to say, if I actually put a spin on it, does it make a difference? Because if your market is already exhausted, it's already fully saturated, maybe a spin might pull some of your competitors' customers to you. Yeah, definitely. So you want to put this into consideration. Then the uniqueness of your offering. I said it earlier, like, the you factor. What spin are you putting? Which of your competitors' weaknesses are you leveraging? Are you harnessing as strength? So standing out from the competition with something unique or better can create a loyal customer base and justify premium pricing. Then customer experience, do you prioritize your customer experience? It has to be prioritized. It's not even a question, because they are people that exchange their money for whatever you are offering. They keep you in business. Without that revenue generation, you do not have a business. So it's important. Say, can someone type customer experience in the chat row, please? I want you to remember this. Customer is king. Customer experience. So every interaction point, before they buy, when they are buying, after they buy, that's post purchase experience, everything has to be prioritized, right? That could be your edge, right? So how is the customer experience already in the market, right? So you want to have some kind of clarity on what the customer experience at every point should be in the business idea you've chosen. On a high level, I'm not saying go into full analysis mode. No, don't go down the rabbit hole. I'm just saying off the top of your head, have an idea of how do I maintain good customer experience at pre-purchase, during purchase, and post-purchase. Okay. Then projected break-even speed. So break-even is the point where the money you've made in the business and the money, the cost, your capital, what you've incurred, the cost you've incurred in that business are at the same level. The truth is that you have to first of all get to break-even before you can start talking about profitability. So until how long that some businesses are very capital intensive, which means you have to keep spending and spending and spending, before you can get to a place where you actually have value to deliver. And now you now have to start talking about, okay, making revenue. The fact that you're making revenue doesn't mean that you've broken it. You could make in millions of dollars. You could make in a lot of money, but I've worked with multinationals that are that with businesses that are very capital intensive, and I know this that revenue does not always is not always equal to profitability. You can be making a lot of money and still be at a loss because of the capital, then operational cost. So you want to have an idea of, before you can pass an idea into saying, okay, yes, I'm going into this business, you want to know, you want on a high level, not no full analysis yet. You want to know on a high level what it might averagely cost and how long it might, like, even after deploying strategies, how long it might take you to make that back before you now start to think of profitability. And that is a break-even point, the point where what you've expended is equal to what you have realized, the revenue you've made. Then cost benefit analysis. So now, what this business is going to cost me in terms of time, how long it's going to break even, the capital is going to require versus what I'm eventually going to get from it. Imagine you having to wait for 2 years for a business that the maximum margin on it can only be 10% of the capital. That's the maximum margin you can make in a year. I'm just using it as an example. So if that duration, that capital, imagine that the capital is one big amount of money. When you can start businesses that require little to no, like there are a lot of businesses you could start with very minimal costs, in 2025, right? So imagine you expending a lot of capital on a business that takes forever, right? That takes forever to break even. And eventually, the maximum can be realized, the maximum cap that can be realized from that business is 10% of its monthly annual costs. Is it worth the time? So what it costs you versus the size of the reward is what's called cost benefit. So you want to weigh the upfront cost, which is cost of money, cost of time, cost of attention, cost of energy, cost of focus, every other cost versus the long-term gains to determine if the investment is worthwhile. Now, after we have identified, using the worksheet, after you have identified your potential business ideas, now you have, at the minimum, I expect that you would have 8 business ideas, right? At the minimum. And of course, you can use, for all of the 8, you can use a concept or guidelines from each direction to modify each one of them. For example, if you have an idea under looking forward, you can use personal experience to modify it. If you have an idea under personal experience, you can use technology, advancement in technology, creativity to modify it into something that stands out. So while you will give them business ideas uniquely under each category, I also want you to use them to each idea. I want you to use it to use the remaining cardinal points to modify each idea. I hope you get me. Please, if you understand me, please put I understand in the chat room. I want to be sure we're on the same page. Can you put I understand in the chat room, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about something, validating your business idea. So the interesting thing is that you now have this great business idea, right? You have sets of business ideas that you must have used the worksheet to establish or to identify. Now, remember that an idea and a business are two different things. We now have to validate, we have to do detailed analysis to establish, to validate if this business idea is feasible. That means it's achievable. If it's achievable, we want to know if it's viable, if people are going to accept it, right? If it can be sustained in a long-term basis or just a short-term thing. And if it can be profitable, that means, we can realize our cost and make even more profit on it. So that's why we call the framework that we are introducing here is called the FVP framework, which is feasibility, viability, and profitability framework. You are using everything you're going to be learning, you will learn on the FVP framework. You will use it to establish the feasibility of every business idea. Or maybe you take your top two, because you have 8 ideas now. If you have the capacity, you can examine, every business idea, but I feel like you should take the top 2, right? So there is an entire framework, detailed worksheets, explanation, so much on how to assess for feasibility of a business idea, how to assess for the viability of that business idea, and how to assess for the profitability potential of the idea. What this does to you is that when you are able to practically establish that your idea is feasible, is viable, is profitable, upfront, some critical information, you've used the framework to do some analysis, upfront the direction, you have direction, you've built a solid foundation. When you start to execute, you are not lost. You are not just going with the wind. You have the confidence to approach every strategic decision you're taking. So, and you have clarity too. So, which increases your chances of success. So that is the introduction to the FVP framework. Now, on this webinar, so if you have learned anything, if you have enjoyed this so far, please, can you leave in the chat row continue? Can someone leave continue in the chat row for me? Leave continue, say continue in the chat row. Let's see. I want to see if you have gotten any value from what we've been discussing so far. If you are enjoying this, or I'm just boring you out, let me know. Okay, so let's have a recap of what we discussed so far. On this webinar, we've discussed common struggles and limitations of aspiring entrepreneurs. We talk about clarity, confidence, resources, and we'll talk about different things, not being sure, the uncertainty, being afraid of the uncertainty, right? Though we identified the common struggles. We also eliminating confusion, gaining clarity, how to start, using the 4 cardinal directions, to gain clarity on the potential businesses for you, right? A walkthrough of the business ideation templates. I believe that after this webinar, please go and sit and use that to brainstorm. But you have the guideline, you have the framework to use that worksheet to brainstorm. Allow your mind to flow freely. Then factors to consider for an idea success. We talk about, cost benefits, do some cost benefit high-level assessment. You want to know if the idea is already saturated, and if it is, what's your plan? You want to know, a lot of other factors, right? A lot of other factors, right? So we identified that already, those already, right? Then what's the break-even time for the business? Is it worth it? So then we started with introduction to the FVP framework, business idea validation. You have 8 ideas now. We want to validate the winning idea. Which one should now we settle for as an idea? Which one is the turnaround time for break-even worth it? Which one is feasible? Which one is doable, right? What does feasibility mean? The FVP framework will go into details what feasibility truly means, how to assess for feasibility. What does viability mean? How to assess for viability. What does profitability mean? How to assess for profitability. So, but we've started on an introduction to it. Then